Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Primary Live Tradebury, thanks for your flexibility with rescheduling today. Obviously, was up in Tahoe earlier in the week. Tamara, we missed you. It was. I'm glad you're out of the hospital and everything is 4.0 and hopefully good to go. We definitely missed you. It was a good time. A couple people were asking for you, so the live events are definitely building up a good brotherhood and sisterhood. So we'll get you on the next time. Happy Marine Corps birthday to all of my Semper Fi brothers. I had dinner with a buddy of mine who I haven't seen in 20 some years. I went through flight school with. He was down here with his wife in Fort Lauderdale, and we had dinner last night. Absolutely incredible, great American. It's called signs of Gandhi. We need a little bit more Gandhis in here. You're welcome, Karen. Absolutely. Obviously, it was an honor. I'd do it again tomorrow. A friend of mine posted these, tagged me in a picture of, you guys see my kids. It's funny as hell. Look at this. Look at that picture. It's my son, Matthew. Matthew on the left and his buddy. And it's us. We did a cross-country flight, and they came out to greet us. We both had their little flight suits on. That was his best friend growing up. It's comical. Going to be getting up early tomorrow morning, throwing the old uniform on, see if it fits to go out to the cemetery. My brother's in the Navy ROTC, and he does, they do a thing at the cemetery tomorrow, so I'm going to head out there and do that. But, yeah, Veterans Day, I appreciate it. 50,000 homeless veterans, and you would think, we treat them better, but we treat people on welfare, and we treat some, immigrants to this country better than we treat the people that have defended it. So, but, you know how I feel about that. How about the Holy Volatility, Batman? It felt like one of those weeks where we put on one of those bullish double vertical. Look at that. So we'll do a quick review here in a little bit. You bet, Jeff. Thank you. Jason, he's actually wants to be a ground officer. It's funny, when I grew up, Top Gun was all the rage, and you become a fighter pilot. Nowadays, my son Matthew and Jack, they're both, American Sniper, Lone Survivor, all that stuff. I'm like, you guys are nuts. You want to kill the enemy, you kill them from 30,000 feet, not 3 feet. So, but look at this, Holy Volatility. It's one of those weeks where if you held on to that VXX bullish double vertical, I said to get out yesterday if you were in that trade. Because you have to be early on volatility, right? I didn't know that we'd continue up another 7. What are we at right now? Look, we're up to 11:30. When the market closed on Friday in Lake Tahoe, we were at 9:14 or whatever it was, however low it plumbed. Does anybody still have that? So this was actually a trade. This is the regular Nova expiration one that we. This is from the last Analyze Your Trade and Debrief last week. Does anybody still have on the one from? That expires today, or did everybody get out yesterday? Katrina's still got it. Just got back from vacation last night. Not the one on the screen that has one more week, which should be doing pretty good. I'm talking about the I forget. I think it was in the PLTB portfolio last week. Because this is the Analyze Your Trade. So I'm just wondering if everybody bailed out of it when they saw the quick strike profits in it. Because we talked about, a lot of folks in AR yesterday. I know JP had bailed out for about $3,000 gain. A lot of people looking pretty good in this trade. So we'll talk specifically about this one in a little bit after I do my brief. I was just wondering that, I'm telling you not to be late with these trades. Okay, so Bill's out. Okay, good. Steve's out. 45. Nice, $4,500. There you go. Shit, man. Awesome, Steve. Yeah, exactly. You beat me to it. There's your Commodores Club coaching. Okay, let's get strategic, operational, and then we'll get tactical. John's out. Okay, good. Now, we'll talk about the one we put in Analyze Your Trade and Debrief last week. Because remember, I talked about having. You can not only have dueling VXX trades, like for example, some people were still trying to get out of their bullish double vertical, and I said, hey, put the bearish one on because you don't know. Unless it's a finite event, the election, the Brexit, debt ceiling meeting, something, the final meeting on the tax cut plan. With those events, you know when you can, they're known. This was that triple digit up and down week when I said, oh boy, we're going to see a little bit of chop here. If all gets smashed, I'm like, that's stupid. get long. So from 914 to, that's a $2 move, folks, in volatility since we talked last week. And the VIX is still going up 8.5%. So like it, love it, live it, learn it. I confirmed this the other day before, obviously before Reuters does. They I confirmed this. I said not only was it Iranian missile, but it was. It's kind of like Putin, folks. The rebels in eastern Ukraine shot down that Malaysia airliner. Talk about an airline you don't want to fly on, but shot down that Malaysian airliner. They didn't. It was a Russian missile battery. They might have been training Ukrainian rebels. They pulled the trigger. The Iranians did the same thing. The United States Air Force confirms that the ballistic missile in Yemen bore Iranian markings. Duh. So again, this is a sleeper story. Just because I'm sitting down here in beautiful Fort Lauderdale doesn't mean that the guy who's forcing himself to be king pretty damn quickly here doesn't wake up and order Saudi military forces to attack Iran. I mean, stuff. This is why we hedge. This is why you have this type of stuff on. This is why you're here at TGO, is because, again, the market only cares when it cares. CNBC doesn't care about this. They will after it's too late. You'll be, going for a walk later today, and all of a sudden, war breaks out in Saudi Arabia, and there goes all your positions. So this is a Kiam-1 missile. So this is seriously, folks, how would we feel? Rebels up in Canada launch a ballistic missile towards Washington, D.C. You think Trump would just sit there and take it? So the Saudis don't like getting pushed around, let alone by the Iranians. So we got to keep an eye on this. This is not a good thing. So anyway, so Trump, where was he? Plays nice, huge niceness. Couldn't be more nicer. Nobody does nicer better than me in China. He's still poked, on North Korea, but then today or yesterday, whatever the hell the time zone is, he gets into this trip in Vietnam and starts blasting away at President Xi, and he disavows any multilateral trade agreements that tie our hands. I mean, it's kind of a double-barreled shotgun speech. President Trump delivered a full-throated defense of economic nationalism, telling a Pacific Rim annual summit that America will defend its commercial rights and won't either enter into multilateral trade agreements that, quote, tie our hands. Oh, yeah. It was I was sitting here, watching and drinking my coffee. I'm like, holy crap. That was a blistering speech. So we'll talk about FXI in a couple minutes, how I think, I think he kind of half Nixoned. I think he went over there, did a George Bush and saw into the guy's eyes and soul, and I can work with this dude. Well, you might be able to work with him, but he still hasn't done anything with North Korea. Yeah, he's done some things, and the State Department's kind of happy with the way China is treating North Korea, but the dude still, the fact that he didn't light anything off when Trump was over there is interesting. The message was received because, some buddies up north were saying, we've been contingency planning around what the hell are we going to do when, not if he lights something off when the president's over there. So we'll, so it's interesting. We'll see. So, a little bit of a tugging on Superman's cape. But the guy's right. When we enter into these trade deals, we did it, typical Obama, like American shame, like, he's bowing to kings and, this, and just kind of his apology tour and his apology, U.S. evil, you good, let's lower ourselves to be everybody else. Not that I'm saying we're exceptional. I'm saying if this country and our people weren't so damn exceptional, everybody wouldn't want to be coming here. I get it. We did. Reagan never rubbed anybody's nose in it. He just stated the facts. We're that shining house on the hill and everything like that. But Obama ran around the world and apologized for it. He was, he leaves Iran, close enough. He leaves Iran in Iraq in a blink of an eye. That power vacuum is filled by something called ISIS. He lets, Bashar Assad kill people with chemical weapons. I mean, it's just, Obama was a nightmare. So this dude, it's refreshing. You might not like him, but it's different and something to talk about. It makes liberals go outside and scream at the sky. Exactly, David. There's nothing wrong with being exceptional. Otherwise, then everybody's ordinary. I just can't. it's so funny seeing other people raise kids and how I raised mine. It's just, my kids go to a hockey tournament, they get second place. After they go through the award ceremony, they go throw the medal out. They're like, second's the first place loser, man. Um, Senate tax plan differs from House on individual rates and timing of the corporate tax cut. So let's just take a look at our SPX chart here. So for all the people who said that, a lack of tax reform in the past, the market's not going to care. It's already baked in. We've seen the biggest, couple day drop in about a year. So multi-day drop. We've had these implosions in BTFDs, the Comey memo. Hey, Comey memo's gone. So all of these, you just have to be smoking crack if you don't think, and we're starting to hear things that it might be out to 2019 or not take effect. The market's starting to wake up to this, guys. And the market's starting to wake up to the fact that we only have, 6-7 legislative days left. This ain't going to happen. Differences highlight the challenge for the GOP to get overhauled to Trump's desk by the end of the year, let alone Christmas. What are they going to do? One day between Christmas and New Year's, coming to Washington and get tax reform done? Absolutely nuts. So it is not going to happen. I think, if anything, if the baked in crowd, this is all baked in, they might be saying that right now we're getting inoculated, meaning it's a slow drip of this ain't going to happen, or Republican or rhinos say no. And, we're getting a slow drip, meaning maybe when it does happen, it's like the Obamacare repeal, guys. What happened? Market, it's over here. Market implodes, and then a couple days later, it's like, we still got infrastructure spending and tax reform on the radar. So screw Obamacare. What can he do this time? Screw, taxes. We'll get them done eventually. Back to healthcare. He had infrastructure spending, healthcare, and taxes. That was his triad, so to speak. Yeah, I guess the fourth thing would be financial and just regular deregulation. He's got an executive order that says for every new law or regulation you put on the book, you have to take 2 others off, which is phenomenal. I think that's great, because we have enough already. So it's I'm telling you, man, this isn't a panic. It's an orderly, if there is such a, well, there is, this is an orderly sell-off. What are we down about 5? So it's not like this is, I'm telling you, this isn't the Fred Sanford. This isn't the big one. But we might be getting inoculated, like, oh, geez, this ain't going to pass by the end of the year. And then we grind higher. I get that. That's a pretty damn risky bet, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what it would be, in my opinion. I don't bet. I can't stand gambling. I'd rather light my money on fire on the table in front of me and, drink some champagne and watch it burn, which is a hell of a lot more fun than just giving it to people. So this is a big deal. Gary Kahn, president of the Chief Economic or National Economic Counselor, we still have a lot more work, but we're really excited. I mean, that and a nickel just sounds like, hey, we're really close. We just didn't get it by Christmas. Who cares? It's Christmas, an arbitrary date. The president will get it by next year. Here's Paul Ryan. The House will pass its bill. The Senate will pass its bill, and then we'll get together and reconcile the differences. So I think, you ready for this? Here's I'm going to thread the needle here. Let me sound like a politician. I think the House will pass theirs, the Senate will pass theirs, and then they'll call that victory. And then obviously they're going to have to go behind closed doors and make the sausage. I thought that's what they were doing now, but Paul Ryan in an interview the other day said, somebody said, why isn't this going to fail like healthcare? And he said, well, healthcare, we failed to get the Senate involved before or earlier. He said this time we didn't. We got the Senate involved before we even started talking, so it should be all in here. 2 days later, McCain, Senator Cruz, they're both like, yeah, we're not. It's dead on arrival in the Senate. So this is a long ass article on more or less saying we don't know if we're going to get it. So, and it's not like, and if the Republicans do this, I'll be screaming, I'll throw them all out. Everybody remember Obamacare was passed all by Democrats, not one Republican vote. And guess what? Um, they, you know, they got all these um, flow through things or pass through things like what was it, the Nebraska Compromise or the Louisiana Compromise. These senators from Nebraska, and it was called, wasn't it, the Nebraska Compromise? Like Barack Obama, promised whatever that Senator Conrad or something from Nebraska. It was gross. So they almost didn't have all Democratic votes, and he pushed it across the goal line. So um, we might do we start seeing drug dealing on this? Susan Collins, who's another rhino from Maine, does she? I was ripping apart Democrats when they did this, so I'll do the same. Short story long. Here's my take on this. I don't know. I thought, or I think we might have a Fred Sanford moment when the president, not if, is in the Rose Garden with Steve Mnuchin by his side and Gary Cohn on the other side, saying, "Hey, we tried, we didn't. Republicans suck, Democrats suck." Is that the 3 to 5% sell-off we need right at the end of the year? There's, only junior people are on the desk at that moment. You're the sap who, just got hired at the firm. Do we kind of melt off into that announcement and it's a buy on the news? Meaning, you know what, we're going to get it eventually. It's just this arbitrary Christmas date that sucked. Okay, maybe we do buy on the news. I'm telling you, that is a very, very risky bet. So that's why the other day I did a free webinar for one of our strategic partners. That's why I started looking at I said, hey, if you're in my service and you got some quick straight profits on the VXX, I'd start looking out to December now, because we have the debt ceiling that nobody's even talking about that. I get Mitch McConnell's like, we will not default on our debt. It's definitely going to get passed. Well, you never know, dude. Maybe some people, I'm already hearing whispers of some people might use that, the debt ceiling fight as an excuse to, get some stuff on taxes. So it's sausage, folks. It's gross. It's not what we want it to be, but it's, that's our legislative. That's how the ball bounces. So we have a new VXX bullish double bearish double vertical that we talked about yesterday. I got this wrong. This is, if you weren't in the Analyze Your Trade yesterday, remember, with volatility, you want to be early. You need to. So when vol's cheap down here, what do you do with it? You buy it. When expensive, you sell it. So now I'd be looking to sell vol short out the next Friday. Okay, or you put on a new one. This is what I'm telling you. You can have dueling VXX trades. You can have one. Let me put up VXX. You can go out to where December. What do you say? Christmas. So December 22nd is right before Christmas. Okay, maybe you throw in a bullish double vertical that's long vol. Obviously, bullish double vertical on VXX out to December 22nd, while you're what? Short vol on the front. Front week. You know what I'm saying is be bullish on vol out to here, but right now, next week after next week's failure to get anything done, they're going to say, oh geez, we only have 3 legislative days left. We really have to get this done. So you can have dueling volatility trades on, just manage them. You have to trade them back. You got to be in and out of them, folks. So that's my volatility talk. Ray, watching it vote in D.C. was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Our junior high government was more organized, displayed much more maturity. Isn't that incredible, Ray? It's just, I talked to my Marine buddy for a while last night at dinner, and it's good to, I still have faith in our country. It just, the way he's raising his kids, and his daughters at UCLA got a Navy ROTC scholarship. I got to tell you, we sat there and looked at each other. We're like, I'm not a huge Trump. Obviously, it's the vehicle. His method of delivery and his background is what really gets Democrats into an uproar, right? I think it's great. A New York real estate developer, and just doesn't, the man might have some issues, but the message and what he wants to do is correct. The only reason Republicans lost in Virginia, don't give me this, is because all of northeastern Virginia, which you can call Southwest DC, voted. Of course, they all came out and voted because they want their jobs. They can't stand Trump. coming in. How dare you come into DC in our suburbs and our way of stranglehold on this nation. It's just like I hated living in Illinois. Illinois, folks, when you go 15 miles west or north or south of Chicago, I lived out in Naperville. I called it Napertucky. And then west of Naperville is fields. Illinois is a beautiful state of like farms and everything. But guess what? Chicago, a couple million people, they pick all the politicians for Illinois. And Barack Hussein Obama, I don't think he even knew where Naperville was on a map. So it is, yeah, exactly. Well, Bob, that's what the media's saying. Trump lost in New Jersey, Virginia, and D.C. I'm like, if he had won, Republicans would be crowing that it was a referendum on him, and now Democrats are crowing that it's a referendum on him. There's no way in hell they were going to win Jersey anyway. I mean, Chris Christie was crappy enough of a rhino but I mean, Virginia, I got to be honest with you, it's Washington Southwest. Of course, they're going to vote for the Democrat. So volatility, folks. If you're still in the one that expires today, exactly, Bob. I'm referring to last November. That's a great point. And it should not have. Here's I might be looking for fly shit in the sugar is for a state that the Clinton, they should not have been that close in Virginia is what I'm getting at. So anyway, if you are in the bullish double vertical that expires today, you should be out of it. And then you should have reestablished a new position out to December on VXX. You also should, I think everybody has access to the Analyze Your Trade from yesterday, put on a bearish double vertical on VXX. Okay, this is it feels like an election or a Brexit. This feels good. I love this. I love when the VIX we're getting a nice spike here. It was up 8%. Sell vol right now. This is a great Obama teachable moment for everybody who's new to TGO. When vol is cheap, you buy it. When it's expensive, you sell it. How do you know it's expensive, Whiz? Well, we're getting up to a recent VIX high, and here's some chop over here. I mean, yeah, God, remember the good old days when the VIX would be up to the upper teens was considered high. Now you consider the lower teens high. This is also, I mean, there's nothing massively fundamental creepy today going on in the market, but you know what this also is? I think I closed that article by mistake. I briefed you guys yesterday on short VIX funds, the UVIXy or the whatever. There's like trillions of short VIX positions right now. So even right now on a little bit of a 5%, what are we down? We're only down 4.5% on 4.5 points on SPX, and the VIX was up 8%, man. So this is good stuff. So here's your Obama teachable moment. We put on VXX bullish double vertical back here. Some people got out there, and if you're still in it now, you should be, get out of the bull call spread right now, and then let it expire, the bull put spread expire for max profit. But I would also put on the bearish double vertical. How's everybody? Did everybody get in this yesterday or see it, or where is everybody? Let me get let me put this in the chat box. So you guys, here's the trade from yesterday. Obviously, it's a better price today, or you could go up a little bit more. Tim's in, Bob's in, Tamara, Giles not yet, Mike's in, Brian's in. Okay, good. Sorry, hit the wrong mute button. Yeah, this is Tesla's looking great, folks. So the CP, yeah, if you're not in that one, I'd still wait. What's the expiration on that one? I think that's out the next week, isn't it? Wait, let me pull up primary. Let's review our open trades in the primary brief. I haven't written a lot of front month upside short calls in like a month because we have been on a rip. So maybe we can get into some of them today. Next Friday. Okay. So here's today's bullish double vertical. It was a quick strike weak trade, so that one's good. How'd everybody do on this VXX bullish double vertical? How'd everybody? I know JP got out of his yesterday for $3,000 or something. Steve, you said you had 4. Obviously, everybody trades different contract size. I'm just hoping everybody did some good work with that. This, not going to hurt myself, straining to pat myself on the back, but this is when 2 weeks ago I said, hey, Dunn, the weekly option stuff is kind of hurtful. Let's trade volatility. How about this, folks? Let me get a hell yeah if you are looking at Tim got out a little early for a break even. That's all right, man. You know what? It's almost like gambling, folks, meaning if you break even walking out of the casino, you made money because you're supposed to lose. If you break even on what you thought was a hedge and a trudge, you did some pretty good work. So I'm happy. I'm happy with that. So weekly options. VXX got up to almost 36 yesterday. JP, yeah, exactly. Steven, Raytheon, what a dip right off. Let me take a look at Raytheon in a second. So how's everybody looking with their Amazon? Anybody still in it? This is from weekly options. I'm just kind of doing a broad overview here, but CP's getting out now. Brian, yeah, I mean, you can let it expire for max profit today, or you can close it. So, Lance, I'm going to talk about Morgan Stanley in a second. So that and XLK, that's what I was talking about. Kevin got out at 80%. Giles is still in it. Okay. So there's a good potential $1,500 winner in 4.5 days. Dennis is still in. Great. Good. No, that's what I'm saying is I'm going to, we haven't talked Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and some of the other ones because, they've all been on a tear. Now that the market's pulling back, it's time to wake up and get back into these. So I think we have, there's Morgan Stanley in this one. So we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. And then, where's my short? There's the put, the Nove. What did I sell? The Nove 50s. Yeah, those are up pretty good. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. What else do I have to cover? Yesterday, I said, let me take a look at it today, of course. Let me take a look. So for the primary live trade brief, I'd start taking a look at getting long FXI. I debriefed you guys and said, I was wrong on FXI right around here. I said, hey, man, I would hope or pray that the president has enough brains to, before he shoots anything real at North Korea, he starts shooting trade bullets at China. And then that happened. So that was a bad on me. But again, it's one of those, if something's not doing what you think it should be doing, don't be in it. It is doing what it should be doing. You're wrong. So that was me. As FXI kept melting up, I'm like, it shouldn't be doing this. But, I was using my brain if I was president. Trump should do this before he does anything with North Korea. But he fell in love with this dude. Whether, this guy came down in, he was up at Mar-a-Lago and Trump fell in love with him. But he gave him the 100-day heads up. Like, hey, dude, if you don't do anything in the next 100 days with North Korea, I'm going to do it. 100 days came and went. They threw a couple bones and, maybe cut off some oil and, made it look like they were doing something. But during that time, this happened. So I was wrong on FXI. It's just a missed trade. I mean, we deployed capital in other places. Here is the question, though, for those of you that are looking at it. That is a hell of a run. Hell of a run. Look at that. I mean, you guys know that I think they are the world's #1 economy. I think they've already passed the United States. That data are rearward facing. So it's a hell of a run. We've been in FX. I've been FX trading FXI for a very, very long time, and we 2 years. Was that 2 years? Let me go back to here. I remember this. Holy crap! The implosion 2015. This was bad. This was the the hairdresser in Shenzhen province, in between cutting people's hair is day trading stocks. And then this was their 2000. No, you know what? This was their 2000. It wasn't 2008 because it really wasn't a financial crisis. It was everybody getting wiped out. Plunge protection teams stepping in every day, ordering people. I remember they rounded up reporters who were bearish on the market. But shit, man, forget that and look at that. So I am very, very long-term bullish. Tim, he doesn't even whisper those words anymore. One of the reasons I voted for the guy was he promised. Oh my God, a politician broke his promise. He promised that day one in office, he would label China a currency manipulator. He didn't. But you're right. That is a potential threat out there. In a red team at bullish trade on FXI, you got to say, hey, man, one of the potential bads is he does wake up one day and label him a currency manipulator or something. The good thing about Trump is there's no filter. You know where you're standing. So if he could wake up at 4 in the morning and tweet out something like that, but I don't see it. I've been the one that's taken the other side of this damn trade, and it didn't work out. So let's take a look at a Jan 20 since the Jan 20s are out, and let's do synthetic stock on FXI. Does this count as a Captain Kirk? Because remember, folks, I said a couple weeks ago, I said 5 sectors we need to be looking at, and one of them was a Captain Kirk. I said Brazil, so EWZ. It's kind of giving us a little bit of a breather here. Whoa, stop. So it broke below this double bottom and it's hanging below it. So like I said last week with EWZ, I'd still look, to get long-term bullish, but on the front here, I'd be selling at the money to in the money calls and bear call spreads here. So if you're in the EWZ, you should definitely be trading the front months. And, as something goes down, we can still be bringing in profit, waiting for it to go back up. So people should be, so the EWZ was one of them. The EWJ is the Japan one. And I mean, geez, take a look at this. Holy FXI, Batman. So it's kind of a men and ladies choice here. Obviously China ain't Japan and Japan ain't China. China's China, man. Japan, no nuclear weapons, kind of an island, an aging population. There's a lot of potential warts on that trade. There's a lot of warts there, potentially, with both of them. China's China, but when you can dictate economic policy at the end of a bayonet, you should be pretty damn bullish on it. So, all right, I'm going to stop meandering around my commit criteria because, like I said, I bailed. Missing out on profits is not a losing trade. So, I mean, I thought I was. I thought that would be a pretty good call that Trump, before he shoots somebody, would economically shoot him. All right, so let's go out to the Jan 20s. Let's go closest to at the money, about 47, and let's do synthetic stock. All right, so it was a good call at the time, Whiz. Yeah, I appreciate it. Giles, you're forgiven, Whiz. Yeah, I think. Was it somebody at Tahoe might have stayed in FXI out of a mistake, and they're like, better be lucky than good. So it's been a nice run. So let's take a look at this. If you want to create synthetic stock, remember synthetic stock, you use the word synthetic because you don't get two things. You don't get to vote because you actually don't own FXI shares. You're not a shareholder, and you don't get the dividend. I don't even know if the FXI has a dividend. I don't care. I'm not a dividend-ish guy trader. So how do you create synthetic stock? Well, if you're bullish on something, Whiz, you could buy, if you're bullish on FXI out to Jan 20 like you are. I mean, folks, either by January 20, China is more of an economic powerhouse or they're not. It's almost like, no kidding, a binary trade. Either by Jan 20, FXI's doubled or a hell of a lot. There's only two things that can happen, good or bad. Japan's more of I can't believe that chart, but Japan was more of a risk with their just meandering around with their quantitative easing and, Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda like Ben Bernanke. I think this is a more probable. So if you're bullish out the Jan 20, what do? Well, Wiz, I know from options 101, you can buy calls. So let's just throw 10 in here for now. Buying 10 of the Jan 20 47 calls. Why? Because that's the closest to at the money right now. If you're also bullish on FXI, you could do what? You can sell puts. Buying calls, selling puts creates what? A synthetic stock position, a synthetic long. There's the blue line, and there's your P. This is stock and options 101 class. That is the P&L chart for long stock. I mean, even a political science major Navy guy like me knows that. Okay, so this right now, in its current pure form, is long stock. If you are long stock, what is the underlying risk? Okay, Wiz, I'm no rocket surgeon, but it's the underlying. You just said it. The risk is FXI goes to zero. Well, E-Trade, even though they suck, ain't no dummy. They're showing us a max potential loss of what? The FXI going to zero. Can that happen? There is a 0.00% probability. That probably goes out 19 decimal places and eventually has a 1. So there is a so you're saying there's a chance, right? That movie, Dumb and Dumber. So obviously we're going to have to do something about this. Wiz, I ain't risking 45 grand, max potential loss. FXI ain't going to zero. Can it? Yes. Will it? The answer is no. So we obviously need to put on what I call a disaster put. Okay. And this is, folks, to be honest with you, obviously I usually do 20%. You can trade front month disaster puts if you want. You can do all sorts of weird stuff. Me, with my long call diagonals, since I got 20 to 25 other positions to manage in other portfolios, I just tend to put them disaster puts 20% below where we currently are. What's that? 4.5 and 4.5 is 8, 9. Let's round up to 10. Go down to the 37s. Okay, that was really quick mental math. I just go 20% below where the stock currently is. So buy 10 of the Jan 20. I don't know. Throw a dart, man. 37 disaster puts. So again, obviously that turns out this was going to be a net credit. Why? Because we were selling some puts that had a lot of premium. Now it turns into a debit. All right, let's take a look at this. Aha. So even if FXI does go to zero, Wiz, we're all at war or dead, so we might not even care about it. But no, if FXI does start to implode, it does have another hairdressers or day trading and another pop in their market. We're hedged below. We're long the FXI below 37. Okay, I'm not throwing darts. I just I did some mental math. It might be the 48 or the 38 or whatever. So it stops right there. But everybody, and look at this. Here's what puts a massive smile on my face is instead of 45 grand in risk, we cut that down to 11. This one goes to 11, like Spinal Tap. Well, Wiz, that's still a little north of what I want to do. Then 5, 1, 10. Don't forget, folks. So every once in a while, I get the people say, well, just one contract of this, isn't worth it. Well, the one contract in Goldman Sachs before the election, people were up $10,000, $15,000 with one contract. So, and I've told you, in this kind of turbulent environment, you should only be trading front month spreads on something you got Jan 20s on. Build up a nice ammo box full of Jan 20s and also the front months on this. Make sense? So, and obviously there's one thing missing as we do this. When we buy synthetic stock, man, we're literally running out of our building here down to the Lamborghini dealer and we're paying up, man. We need to put on some front month upside calls to bring in some premium, man. We need a sugar daddy. Now, this is a great example. You ready? There's a tear. When something's on a tear, we get out of the way. We don't sell anything front month upside. We just get out of the way. Remember, what stock was I talking about the other day? Oh, Raytheon or something like that. When something's on a tear, ladies and gentlemen, either join it, bullish double vertical, bull put spread, bull call spread. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup makes it a double vertical. Or get out of the way. Don't sell front month upside calls and get blown out every week. It's frustrating. And then you could, those losses can add up. This leveled off, and guess what? here to here is what? 2.5 to 5% out of the money. I sell front month upside calls that are about 2.5 to 5% out of the money. This, look at this. This is perfect all in one chart. Tear, do nothing. Moving sideways, 2.5 to 5% out of the money. Give me a little cushion to the upside. This is a gentle climb schedule. We haven't seen a gentle climb schedule in a while. It's either been like up or sideways. Nice gentle climb schedule here on FXI, guys. Getting a little thinner and thinner. So in this case, with a gentle climb schedule, maybe we sell front month upside calls that are about 7.5 to 10% out of the money, right? 10%, 4.5, maybe the 50s. We go out a month and we sell the 50s on here. Again, that's rough whiz political science math. So let's do that. I gotta be honest with you, I think the other day was the first time we've gone that far out in time, like no shit a month. And let's just see what the 50s do. So we sell in 10 of the, let's go, what's a month from now? Is there a D8? Yeah, something like that. Now let's take a look at the snapshot analysis. Look at that, folks. So wait, did they fix this? It's not showing the P&L. Yeah, if you build it in this order and put the disaster put on and then do your upside call, wow, look at that. So this is a very, very good trade. In a month, we could potentially bring in $2,000 in premium just by selling, as long as FXI by December 10th is below 50. And look, I gave us about $3 in upside, protection. We have a little bit of cushion. We got $3. FXI can go up to about 50, or it can actually go up to $50 and whatever cents to break even. We're risking 11 grand. Again, I can't give personal investment advice. Can't tell you what to do. Based on a $100,000 mono portfolio, I think that's okay. I think again, folks, if FXI is imploding again, they either had another 2015 or North Korea is getting vaporized, which we won't even care about the stock market. It is fish. It is a nice trade. So for the let's just do the mental math. Not only do you bring in potentially $2,000 in a month. Let me get a show of hands. How many of you would like to make an extra $2,000 a month? Duh. Let's see, 12 times 2. That's $24,000 a year, folks. Some of the jobs in the jobs report last week doesn't make $24,000 a year, but we're celebrating those jobs. So not only do you make money potentially on the front month upside calls going out worthless, we make money what? We want the underlying to go up. We need the underlying to go up. So there you go. So don't ever forget, with long call diagonals or synthetic stock, you not only make money on selling front month premium, the upside calls here. If FXI drifts up to, it still does its little gentle climb schedule. We make the difference between $46.96 and the 50 strike. So there's $3.03 of upside. So there's another potential, $3,000 or whatever. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So again, folks, this is, it's been a long, long time when I've gone out a month to sell premium, but this looks pretty good. And I think based on watching FXI take off since me saying don't get into it, obviously I monitor this stuff, folks. I'm like, crap. Not really. I mean, it's a good thing to be wrong, bearish on FXI. It was a good thing to be wrong that Trump was going to start a trade war and all that stuff. It was a threat, so I kept my powder dry with this position. Now I'm in it. Now, of course, it'll implode and go to zero, but So I think this is a very, very, very nice trade. And so let me start grabbing screenshots here. So I like this one. This is a good-looking trade, bullish on FXI. For all the reasons I mumbled about. Save as FXI. FXI 1110. Marine Corps birthday. All right. So let's go. Again, looking at the analysis, this is a little bit north. On my long call diagonals, I forgot last week, folks, somebody asked me, or 2 weeks ago in full throttle training, I said, folks, the 5%, $5,000 rule for a $100,000 portfolio is really for my front month trades. When I'm doing a long call diagonal, I don't mind I don't have an SOP really. This is pretty good. John, that was three verys. Wait a minute, for what? Very, very, very bullish on China? Hopefully I didn't say that. So let me grab this one. But yeah, I mean, I am FXI 111M. So this is a good trade. Let's talk about. Oh yeah, you're right. Trade management. You have to watch. Folks. As long as we're below 50 by December 10th, you make the max $2,000. If it's above 50, if we continue a gentle climb schedule, you'll know it. We'll know it early enough that maybe we just say, you know what, let's roll this trade up for the December 10th expiration. I need a little more altitude. I'm going to climb to a higher, level, maybe the 50. What are the strikes here? So it's melting up with, where's December? The December front month expiration. What were those? I thought it was December 8th. So, if by December 8th, it's just doing its boiled frog and it might hit our 50s by then, maybe you close them instead of dealing with that. Maybe you roll them up to the 50 and a halves, or maybe you do both. You roll the calls up and you go out. Okay. I'm briefing you on that because I don't know what the answer is going to be. You have to get in that moment to say, all right, now here's the decision I'm making on these front month upside calls. Okay. Diane, so you're not buying the 80 call. 80, not sure where you're seeing an 80 strike. So you're not buying the 80 call. Not sure. Diane, maybe you can clarify there. So this is a good, I'm not going to say three verys. Let me write this down. So 47, and the puts are 37s, and then the 50s on the D's 8. Remember, folks, this is as a pretty big debit spread. Oh, she might mean the 80 delta. Folks, I don't look at delta in this trade. The only delta I know of is what? Is the fact that this is a one delta trade now. Okay, so this is a one delta trade. That's why I like synthetic stock. I use the analogy, guys, of, when you do synthetic stock, you're hopping on the treadmill and you're almost immediately at doing 10 miles an hour on a 10 incline. You're getting a good workout. Long call diagonal, you start at your 0.8 delta, your 0.9, blah, blah, how a bill becomes a law. So this is a quicker way to see profits. I mean, the FXI just looks like it's unstoppable. It kind of sucks to have that feeling that, oh man, I might be, missing out. No, I guarantee you, it was a good idea using our strategic mindset to stay away from China for a little bit, to look at an EWZ and other places. But now you wait, guys. Like I said, if this is a good Obama teachable moment, if you just don't feel that something is right, don't do it. Watch it. I always watch FXI on a daily basis and wonder what's going on in China. Now that I think the all clear is sounded, with Trump over there, it doesn't really sound like he super wants to go to war, and he sounds like he's buddy with President Xi, at least for 1 hour, and then the next hour he's slamming him. New FXI Jan 20 synthetic stock with protective put. We want to buy, sell. Let me put this here. 10 contracts. Buy, sell the 47 calls / puts. We want to buy the Jan 20 37 puts. Those are the disaster puts. Let me put the slash right here. We'll do a comma. Buy, and then we want to sell the D's 8 50 calls at this is what coffee almost fell. This is what I wanted to talk about real quick. Exactly, Tamara. Life and the market changes. That's what the appeal is. Exactly. Boring is just boring. No, it was definitely sitting on the sidelines watching it. This was theater. Um, so remember, folks, this is a net debit. It's not that bad. Sometimes you can do synthetic stock for credit. So we do the Starbucks, man. There ain't no hell, chance on God's green earth we're going to get filled mid market with this trade, and we're not going to get filled at the bid. So unfortunately, we're going to make some nice money in FXI. I just go between the mid and the ask, maybe $1.15. I'm going to take a break. Maybe go work out in the gym downstairs, come back up here, take a look at it. Of course, I'm looking on my phone. I'm just talking in general. Um, you know, the Warren Buffett, man, if you pay one more penny in taxes, you're an idiot. If you pay one penny less, you're a felon. So let's be perfect. Let's try and get filled on this thing like to the no kidding, that point where the market maker looks at their screen like, for God's sake, all right, and you get filled. So do the walk on up strategy right here. Yes, you can leg into it. I wouldn't do all those individual legs, the holy commissions, Batman, and everything. The market recognizes this as what it is. The market ain't stupid. This is a synthetic stock position. But sometimes, maybe you put on the synthetic stock with the short call, and then you put on the disaster put. If you ain't getting filled, you might have to just do some meatball surgery. So it's $1.15 at 1.15. Walk on up from there. Kind of that's a trading terminology that Whiz came up with. I just made that up, not just now. That's what I do. Market's not stupid, brokers are. Exactly. Harry, that was my fault. I confused Susie in support because I have a 12:30 lunch today in Fort Lauderdale with. I met with United Way yesterday. It's called Mission United, so I might be on the board of directors for United Way down here. And then today, I think I'm meeting with the. Obviously, this hits close to home for me. The Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I lost a sister to a drunk driver, so I sent Susie a text like, "Hey, can you move it to?" I thought it was at 1 today, but it's always been 10, Harry. Even out in Tahoe, I said 10 on Friday. So Susie didn't even read my text. Like, all she saw was move it. So we were always at 10 today. I just said it wrong. So that's my fault. Ed's filled. Hey, so here's some gouge. Ed's filled right at $1.15. So maybe at $1.10. Thanks for the heads up, Ed. For the portfolio, what is your thoughts to the team adding Cisco as a synthetic long sold company at gains, lagging versus other older tech, thinking about scaling back on Apple and Facebook? JP, you know what? Let me blast this out. Let me meander here real quick. I'm not I did a couple keynotes for Cisco. I actually I didn't talk to him for long. I met John Chambers. I'm not a big Cisco guy. PLTB. I got to tell you, those are all. It's kind of like my financials. New FXI, synthetic Synstock with PPE. JP, to me, even like an Intel, a Microsoft, I think they're old techs, man. I hate saying this, but I don't because we're printing money. I appreciate the emails to support randomly. I know your Facebook and Apple trades are all, printing money. So, Jeff, I'd rather be in Microsoft than Cisco. Still would like a Raytheon comment. Steven, what's your Raytheon question? Let's post it again, please. Yeah, HH. If you guys, I remember, I probably messed up and did the, I messed up Susie. So it was supposed to be a 10. I told her to move it to 10. Everybody thought it was a 1. I said that's bad. Mike, a Disney short. Let me answer somebody has a outstanding Raytheon question because they said still waiting to hear back from it. So let me go to Raytheon. Folks, I briefed this yesterday in the analyze your trade. South Korea wants to buy some submarines from the United States. There's a ton of bullish. You need to be in these right now. So let me see if you type the Raytheon question. Goldman Sachs turned to be a good trade. Goldman Sachs. I got to talk Morgan Stanley before we some upside calls. This I told who was it, Diane or whoever the other day, guys. Trade. This looks great. I said trade the hell out of Goldman Sachs if you're in a Jan 20. If you ain't believing me and you don't like a J.P. Morgan or Morgan Stanley, this is another iron condor time for Goldman Sachs. They're just walling around here, guys. Raytheon. I'm still waiting for whoever asked me about Raytheon to ask what the specific question is. Just if you're worried about this, guys, I'm not. So I talked about putting a bull put spread on. That's got so much time to work. I hope you're not asking a question about that. This is the level, guys. If it doesn't hold here, then maybe ladies and gentlemen, the S&P's off 7 right now. What's the VIX doing? And the VIX is back up over 8.5%, almost 9%. Raytheon, ladies and gentlemen, is up or flat on the day. That's a bullish indicator. Lance, confused by the alert. Which alert? Kevin, looking at synthetic stock today for Raytheon. This is an HH. Absolutely. This is a good chart. It's hanging here. So I told you guys this is technical analysis. Bounce, pull back to the half, the rip your the implosion. This is, if it hangs here, it's very bullish. Remember, folks, I'm being bipolar on Raytheon. We have a Jan 20 on that was up 10% in a week, 10% a week, and now we have a front month trade on as well. So I have no problems with on anything. David, it dropped on no news yesterday. Would let it settle. It said support from the other day. Yeah, guys, this is it's almost like I drew this. There's the implosion. We got into the long right here. I said, nope, this is stupid. Look at the 5-year chart on Raytheon. Holy printing money, Batman. So I said, so yeah, if you're trading the front month tactically, you couldn't have drawn this better. Implosion. There's half the implosion, guys. And I said, this is a technically, look, it wandered around there for a day or two with people going, is this legit? It popped through, and now it's pulled back to it. I will tell you, if it does break this, it's, again, folks, there's Raytheon. If it breaks we'll trade the front month with spreads and stuff, but this is, I don't know who answered that question. Whoever, you didn't re-ask it here, so I don't know what your question is. Did I just answer it? Kevin, I might do that. Kevin said, hey, can you do a webinar on technical analysis? I can. Men and women with that CMT term, certified market technician. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Maybe I will, Kevin, because when I go to some of those CMT lectures, my eyes glaze over within 10 minutes, man. And I'm in this industry. They're almost too smart. But I got to be honest with you, Kevin. The world used to, we used to burn witches too. So it's Stephen. Okay, good. David, the 100, 200 day 3 month was 185 when I put. Oh, I get it. Okay. Whiz, technical analysis 101. The basics would be good. Yeah, I'll look into that, guys. Let me. I'll do it. Tim, wake him up with a rant. No. So Raytheon, hopefully I covered anything. So that's good to go. Kevin, I just wrote that down. So next week I'm doing an options weapons school launch. So maybe the week after that. Who's confused by the FXI trade? You didn't understand the text. So let me just run over this one more time for who's confused by the text. Maybe it came out. Hold on. Let me read it. PLTB, new FXI, synthetic, protective, put. Let me just leave the metrics up here. What's your specific question? So when you sell a put and you buy a call with the same strike, 47, and same expiration, Jan 20, that's the synthetic stock position right there. There's a protective disaster put at 37 that helps us out with margin. And then we're short the December 8. I went out a month for a change and did the sold the 50. So Dennis got filled at $1.12. Who got the Ed? Ed, you got the $1.15. How much did you start down? So sometimes if you get filled right away on one of these, it's like, oh man, I'm immediately down a couple $100. Who cares? No mention of the 37 in the alert. Really? Did I drop that out? I thought I said protective puts. If you don't see it, then I didn't. Yes, it is. It says buy the Jan 2037 puts. It's in my alert, and it's in the email. Lance is good. Okay, yeah, you see it? Yeah, it's in there. Ed started at $1.15 on FXI and filled quickly. So, and somebody got so Tim started at $1 and got filled at $1.05. So, yeah, maybe do what Tim did, guys. Start at $1 and walk it on up. I appreciate that, Tim. So good mutual support. So it looks like anywhere between $1 and $1.10 is going to be a good fill there. Okay. Now let's get back to who, Harry or somebody else. Morgan Stanley. I have the front month. I'm short the, what are these? The next week's 50 calls. I think, I thought I sent out an alert on that. I would sell the, if anything right now, I'd go out. If you're in Morgan Stanley, I'd go out to next Friday. Let's see if there's any premium in these. I'm short the 50s. There's 18 cents in there. I mean, that's $180 in a week. That's not too bad annualized. Same with JP Morgan. Let's take a look at JP Morgan. I don't think that's in the PLTB portfolio. That's an AR, but I don't want to confuse people. This is a little, there's a little Raytheon for you. JP Morgan, guys, if you're not in a Jan 20 on JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, the answer is get in that puppy right now. We're going to raise, they have the June 19s. That's interesting. Jerome Powell's the new Fed chief, folks. They will raise interest rates in December. That is going to help the financial stocks. I like this pullback here in JP Morgan. I called this the cheapest, $88 stock like a month or two ago, and now we're at 98. So this is a little bit of a, I'd go probably, the safe, maybe out to next Friday if you're in JP Morgan. The regular NOV expiration, what are the hundreds? 22 cents. Yeah. So there's your front month upside call guidance for JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. And I'm not in a Jan 20 on Goldman Sachs, but I said this would be the one time, to my exception of the short-term trading. I mean, this just looks like a great iron condor candidate right there. Remember, folks, you just don't throw darts and go, hey, this stock I know nothing about is channeling. We know everything about Goldman Sachs. I briefed, who was it? I think it was yesterday, Dick Beauvais, folks, big analyst, sell Goldman Sachs. And he listed every reason I'm bearish on Goldman Sachs, and then one more, which I didn't have in there, which I should have, but their kind of stupidity in some of their investments in Venezuela. Not the smartest thing or the smartest loans to give to somebody. But he's bearish as I am on Blank Fine's leadership and a bunch of other stuff. So, Kevin, with the bots driving tech sector, would you enter 2020s long in bull puts? Absolutely, Kevin. It's a great strategy. Tim, Goldman Sachs iron condor before the Fed rate hike date. Yep, that's what I just said, Tim. I'm absolutely, but iron condor the hell out of it. Most of the charts you've looked at have the same look with big down candle and then several up. Yeah, exactly, HH. That's why, and they're bullish. It's this. Well, no, let's go back to JP Morgan. So yeah. Nice. Remember, guys, what was it? Before we went out to Tahoe, we had some triple-digit up and down days, didn't we? One of those triple-digit down days was Donna Brazil's book and the Clintons rigged the election and all this crap. What are you, stupid? Of course they did. The fact that somebody's coming out and admitting it now doesn't, I knew this a year ago, guys. This time last year, we were all celebrating. Remember, this time last year, I should pull up you guys should go back and watch the recordings from this time last year. This was a great week to show you. I had dueling VXX trades on. We were bullish on vol, and the market was, oh my God, did Trump just win? And now I'm like, sell the hell out of the VIX right now. Sell volatility, because He ain't putting anybody in internment camps, folks. You were all retarded. All the liberals screaming at the sky and everything like that. And then volatility imploded. Um, so this last week or 2 weeks ago, when we went through this stuff, where is it? This chop, this was great. So yeah, any of the Raytheons, the JP Morgans, you see a little, fish handle or cup handle or whatever the hell it is. That's bullish. And it's, unless it doesn't, folks, if that's why I'd sell these hundreds. I'd go out a week and sell the hundreds if you're in JP Morgan. Half of that is, okay, whatever. Half of that is, about $98. So, but we don't have a 98 strike to sell. Somebody asked about that one. I don't think it's in this portfolio as well, but like I said, I got to get ready for this charity lunch. Look at MGM. We did a great job with bear call spreads here. And then what do? That's on a tear, ladies and gentlemen. Get out of the way. So how many of you took the long on MGM? I think it's in what portfolio is that in? To analyze your trade, yeah. So Brian's in it. Harry, Katrina's up 69%. John, good. So this was a good call, guys. I'm very, very happy with the JP Morgan, man. JP Morgan. God almighty, MGM. I got to finish my coffee. I hate drinking coffee on a webinar because I'm like, it's kind of rude to be sipping in somebody's ear. But this is beautiful. This is holy crap. If they put airport security in Vegas, we're going to go bankrupt. They're not going to put that. And when you think about it, and what was the earnings were actually that's right. The earnings weren't that bad. And they did. Here's the earnings right here, guys. The gap up. You know why? If you listen to the earnings, I didn't listen to the call. I listened to the notes, or listened to the notes. I read the notes. They gave good forward guidance. So, I told you, whether it was the sheriff or the politicians, every day after that shooting, I would have done the same thing. You're a politician. You need jobs, and, Vegas is safe. Come to Vegas. So the notes from the earnings call for MGM's, obviously they, gave a thumbs up to the tragedy and holy crap and breaks our heart. But hey, it hasn't changed our model, and we expect to be. It was a flowery call. So this was good. Holy crap, that's horror. But I don't care. I put on my Gordon Gekko suit, took off my flight suit, and said, let's make money off of this. And then right around here, I said, you know what? They aren't going to go TSA security. So this isn't too late. And I got to be honest with you, man. I ain't here's a triple 1, 2, 3. There's that's a bullish chart right there. That's a triple bottom, man. Especially after a horror to see something like that. So the answer is yes. Whoever put that in the chat box. Yes to MGM, even with this run. So this was a really good call. Jeff, your medals, gold, silver, and bronze for defense. I'll review that, Jeff. Kevin, right there was the buy side order imbalance on Friday. Yeah. Let me talk about the defense sector ones, guys. The gold medalist, in my opinion, very good question, is Raytheon. For those of you that are new, I saw a bunch of people coming over from the speech I gave the other day, doing a couple-week test flight. Welcome aboard. Real quick for you guys, here's my gold, silver, and bronze medalist for defense. You got to be in Raytheon. Raytheon is it's in everything else. A Boeing, you're dealing with airplanes. A General Dynamics, ships and submarines. Lockheed Martin, F-35, airplanes, but also some avionics. In L3, my gold medalist has got to be Raytheon, guys. I sat for 15 years. I sat behind an APG-65 radar. I think that's why I have Hashimoto's, man. The radiation destroyed my thyroid, but Raytheon's in everything. Radars, electronics, communications gear. So it's in a Boeing. It's in a Lockheed Martin. It's in a Northrop Grumman. So that's my gold medalist. My silver medalist in the defense, folks, is GD, General Dynamics. Kind of there's a nice boom. So, with South Korea announcing it's going to buy some submarines and all sorts, Trump's being he's being an arms, an arms businessman over on this trip. Japan buying billions of defense. Saudi Arabia, billions of defense. South Korea, it's South Korea, but they're going to throw some pennies at this. So submarines and ships, this would be my silver medalist. And then to be honest with you, it's tough. Boeing and Lockheed Martin come into the bronze spot. It's not, super climb schedule here. It is over that time. What did Boeing do? So Boeing was flat into, hold on, let me clear this. Yeah, that's not too bad. There's the election. There's the holy crap, Trump's going to get rid of Air Force One, and then we renegotiated. So I'd say in that order. Does that make sense? Yeah. So Fish, here's the deal with TradeStation, guys. I'm not happy either, Fish, but here's what most likely is going to happen. The compliance department, even though we've been in business 7 years, Don Prattle and Travis McGee. Travis runs business development for TradeStation, and Don runs education, the same positions they held at Trade Monster. So they know me. But here's the deal, guys. We call it the Chinese wall. There's a Chinese wall between, the operators, Don and Travis and guys like me, and what? The compliance department. So short story long, compliance is like, it's going to be a crawl, walk, run, guys. So, I'm getting my platform set up. I don't know. Here's the summary slide. I'm going to have to be a good citizen. I get it, folks. You guys know when I built the Options News Network, I lived in the compliance department because we are an unregulated entity with a regulated entity. So TGO's unregulated, guys. I can't give investment advice. So exactly, John, you can thank the government for all of this. So their compliance department, you can't fault them, guys. The compliance department always says no. I used to joke with my compliance officer, Peak 6. I'm like, the answer is no at first, and then you have to pull them to yes. So Fish, and Tamara, what I'm going to have to do is be a good citizen for a couple months. They've asked me to do some webinars to their database. I'll have them come do some platform demos. So I get it. It's going to be a crawl, walk, run, guys. So, I'm not super happy right out of the gate. So what's that mean to you guys? It means if you do head over to TradeStation until I prove that, it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter if TGO's been in business for 7 years, disabled veteran, any of that crap. Yeah, the compliance department wants to see us be a good citizens. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm telling you, I lived in the compliance officer's office because the Options News Network was unregulated, but Peak 6 was a regulated entity, and they always wanted to make sure we. Can you resend the FXI trade? It's missing info. Guys, what are you talking about? I just looked at my text and it's got everything in that. It's correct. The puts are in there. I'll leave this up for a second. So that's the answer. So yeah, Fish. I didn't want to say this. I'm like, I'd be surprised if it's totally smooth because it never is. It was a shit show with the Options News Network and Peak 6 compliance, and we were best friends. So I don't know anybody in the compliance department at TradeStation. We just have to be, Robbie, my FXI email is 100% correct. So there you go. Fish is ready to send his money. Are you 50-50 to switch? Fish, I'm not super happy with E-Trade. Watch, we leave E-Trade and they're going to get their shit together. So I'm migrating my portfolios over there. By Monday, I should be operational. But the whole get 20% back and all that stuff. That's what I'm saying is I'm going to have to go to TradeStation and kind of prove that I'm a good citizen, even though you guys know we are, and then it'll happen. Does that make sense? David, compliance looks to trip companies and individuals up. Never known them to be helpful. Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this is kind of foreign talk to you, guess what? The the compliance department is, and these departments, folks, have grown exponentially since what? Franken died. So as soon as Obama came in and did a shitload of financial reform, I think our compliance department grew from like 3 people to like 20. It's like dealing with the IRS, man. Compliance makes sure you're what? You're in compliance with the law. Obviously, it's a good thing. No compliance department, traders are doing shit that's illegal, people go to jail. So the compliance department at TradeStation is probably doing the whole, this isn't, I'm not a RIA. I'm not, he runs a newsletter service. They're usually snake oil-ish, but it's like, okay, guys, I've been here for 7 years. I think we have 5 negative reviews, and it's from people who, you're always, so I get it. Not happy, but it's going to be a crawl, walk one. Call it the TradeStation long call diagonal. So, then why haven't they shut down E-Trade or at least sat on them? Tamara, that's less about compliance and more about just shitty technology and trading platform. That's not a compliance issue, how crappy they are. So we have offshore companies go through crap every 3 months for various entities. Exactly, David. It's, the compliance department, it's a jobs program. It's their job to say no immediately out of the gate, and then you got to warm up to them. Okay. Beware TS 1099 reporting. What's that, Merle? Thinkorswim, TS? Bill, have you tried the pro platform on E-Trade? No. I didn't even know about that. They have a pro options platform? Why isn't it like this or the options house one? All right, guys, let me wrap up here because, like I said, I gotta go to a board meeting here in a little bit. What am I missing? I covered front month upside calls on Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. We talked about the EWZ. We got into FXI. I talked about Morgan Stanley, folks, already. XLK, I didn't, so let's review that. XLK was on a tear. It's starting to level off. I would look to sell the front month. Let's go out the next Friday. I'd look at the more conservative calls. The earnings are behind us. Tech earnings are behind us. Now is and look at the chart. Now we're entering a now what phase. I think the XLK chops sideways for a little bit. We might get some end of year window dressing unless the tax reform fails, which it's going to. I'd go 2.5% out of the money. So I'd look at I'd go with the 64s out to next Friday, the XLK. Tim, I am looking at an urgent alert trade. I wouldn't do the 63s, 63.5 guys. They're pretty close to at the money. So, Lance, it was the 50s. Morgan Stanley, the 50s out to right here. The 50s out to next Friday. I think they were also at about 19th. Yeah, right here, guys. The 50s on Morgan Stanley out to next Friday. We're starting to level off, guys. After earnings, and that was a workout. Tax reform, North Korea. October was a workout, guys. And like I briefed you earlier in the week, if you're in weekly options, 75% of the market gains in October were in the FANGs. Okay. Lance, short puts for both Morgan Stanley and XLK. I didn't put any short puts on either Morgan Stanley or XLK. But guys, this was a workout. There was that triple digit up and down week each other day. That's when I said, all right, I'm done doing weeklies on SPX. Let's get into, some stable names like an Amazon. This is after earnings. This is, a little bit of a tax worry, and this was a workout. That October was a workout, man. So I'd go pretty close to at the money calls in Morgan Stanley, XLK, JP Morgan, like we talked about. We covered Raytheon. We covered a lot of ground today, guys. So anything else that I'm missing? Folks, next week we'll be back to a regular schedule. I am doing options weapon school. I mean, you guys will be in one of them. The PLTB, I'm going to open up next Tuesday to potential options weapon school folks. So we'll be good to go. Fish, heading your way December 4th through 18th. Awesome. Staying with JP. looking to meet December 5th, Tuesday for dinner and drinks. Fish, I don't know what I'm doing for lunch, let alone December 4th through 18th, but we will absolutely hook up, man. I'll take you guys to the Boca Hotel and we'll go break some shit. Tim, posting a Goldman Sachs iron condor in the red room for a red teaming. All right, so everybody, and you should be doing that. So Tim's a smart guy. Brian, heading your way next week for a cruise out of Lauderdale or Miami. Brian, give me a call, man. We can finish your trade plan in person. Yeah. So everybody go to the ready room later in a little bit and red team his iron condor. And you guys should be doing that with your trades as well. If you are trading outside the Whiz basket of stocks, why aren't you posting it in the ready room and going, hey, how am I going to lose in this trade? Somebody help me out. So definitely do that too. Kevin, my NVIDIA red team expired for max profit. Isn't that cool, Kevin? When you red team somebody else's trade, what's that do? It actually gives you a little bit of skin in the game, doesn't it? It's like, hey, I helped that guy out. So let's provide each other some mutual support. Let's get in the red room. And if you got a trade that you want to get red team, throw it in there. If not, go in there and help Tim out. And I read all the I sat back on that one, Kevin. I'm not an NVIDIA guy, but you got some good help from those folks. I like that. JP, last time I went there, I was plastered. Exactly. We had a great time, JP. So we'll take Fish to the hotel. Guys, anytime you're in South Florida, give me a call. And we'll go out and we'll go light some stuff on fire. So, all right, guys, let me clip about 9 minutes early because I want to get the email out and everything before I head out to this lunch. And I'm actually going to go do a photo shoot this afternoon in front of an L39 Albatross that I fly in. So I'm going to go get some pictures in front of that for Veterans Day. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. And yeah, exactly. Happy trading, everybody. And I'll see you guys Monday afternoon for weekly options. Many of you.